Sis and tell. Sis and tell. A whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing. Sis and tell. Amanda to stand up and Alison's on TV. When they hop on the phone, yeah, you know it's the place you wanna be. Sis and tell.
Hey, Allie.
Hey, man. What's going on?
Just micromanaging my children.
Oh, another day in the Marks household.
That's right. Of course, we come from a matriarchal family, so that's what happens. No, mommy's always like, we have roots and wings. I want y'all to be independent. Ruby was having me follow her around everywhere. And I was like, no, I'm not going to go with you to put pants on. And, but that's my DNA. I'm not a pant wearing person. So I had to make her wear pants for her Zoom calls, but she's like, fine. You don't want to be with me? I go, no, I want you to be independent. I do want to be with you, but this is different. I don't need to follow you upstairs for you to go put pants on. But she's taking a photography class and I really started micromanaging her. And well, not micromanaging, more so like, I'm like, this is one subject I know something about, right? It's photography. So, and they have to do a high, low contrast picture. So I was trying to get her to look at things, and on the street she was taking pictures of and recommending that she look at the same object, but take a picture of it from 3 different angles. And she looks at me and she's like, what? You don't even know anything about photography. Why are you talking to me about this? And I go,
did you rip out your master's degree?
Right. I was like, wait a second. Mommy majored in film and TV. I actually do know something about this. And she goes, oh, that's why you watch so much television.
Exactly. We are required by law.
Our family has a TV problem. Like we all have, either master's or undergraduate degrees in television. Nothing wrong with that.
I know. I told Alan I have not read any books this summer. I have like 20 on my virtual bookshelf. And I said, I have not read anything. He goes, but you've watched a lot of Netflix. I'm like, thanks. I needed that.
I actually have not watched a lot of TV. I know she says that, but I'm not they're always on the television. So I never have time to watch the TV. Because I'm like always cooking and cleaning and taking care of them or trying to get some comedy done. Yeah. But you know what I did watch the other day is this documentary on HBO called Class Action Park. Have you heard of it?
No.
There was this crazy amusement park in New Jersey where it was like a water park mostly, and kids would get like decapitated.
What?
I'm serious. It was crazy. Like kids would like fly off rides. And remember when we went to go visit the Chapmans in Minnesota and we went to that water park and there was like this ride and it was like you would sit in this cart and go down this luge that was like made out of cement and you had like a stick as a brake. I was like,
was I on that trip? I have no
yes.
recollection of that.
I was like 9 and I went on it. I remember thinking then this is dangerous. And I think that park was very similar to Action Park in New Jersey. There was a lot of like debauchery going on. Basically teenagers would show up drunk and like try to derail rides. They like literally had this like loop-de-loop slide that like an engineer never designed. It was designed by the park owner. And that's why it's called Class Action Park.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. So
I can imagine what that resulted in. Well, and we don't watch a lot of TV. So, I mean, when I say watch TV, I really mean watch my iPad or watch something on Netflix or watch something on Apple TV or, it has nothing to do with conventional TV. But we do watch the news. We still are quite dedicated to the news. I still watch the Today Show in the morning when I'm getting ready. And then at 6:30 every night, we have to watch NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt. It's not always Lester Holt, let's be clear. But, I mean, we even record it. So even if we're eating dinner at 7:30, we're watching the 6:30 news. So the other night, and Levi and the boys know this, but now Levi's the only one home. So let me back up. Levi, for this English project, has to do something that is sort of like, it's a self-improvement challenge where you have to either do something for 10 days or 2 weeks or stop doing something for 10 days or 2 weeks in order to, improve yourself, get out of your comfort zone, do something you probably should do. So leave, like Abe did it 2 years ago, and he was a vegan for 10 days, which was, also a challenge for me because I'm basically cooking all of his meals. And vegan's hard. So Levi talked about that, but he did something like, I think the general idea is he's not doing anything that is pleasurable, basically, right? All the things he finds immediate gratification in, right? Like eating, it is like Lent. So he's not eating meat. I had to negotiate that up. He was going to be a vegan. I was like, this is just heartache on me. Can we do something halfway? So he's a pescatarian. He's not on social media. He only uses his phone if he has to use it for school or for his internship. He's only using his computer for school or for work purposes. So nothing, he's not doing he's only playing guitar if it's for like class, because he does classical guitar. So he's not making music. He's not listening to music. I mean, it really is, he's sort of like becoming a modern day hermit of sorts.
He did the extreme though. Like he could have chosen one or two of those things, and he chose... God,
right.
He's such an overachiever.
Well,
God.
And the first night he did it, he decided he wasn't going to sleep in his bed because that was too pleasurable. So he slept on the floor in the guest room with a single blanket. And I'm in there like over him. I know he was awake listening. I'm like, this is not normal. You cannot sleep on the floor. This is not good for you. And of course, the next morning he woke up at 6 a.m., had a very restless sleep, and decided that was carrying it too far because there would be a ripple effect on all of the things that are important, and would give me displeasure if he started failing school because he was sleeping on the floor. All of this to say, so we are listening to the NBC Nightly News on Monday night, and one of the top stories is about the very tragic death of Chadwick Boseman. So we're listening to this, and as soon as I say, and the death of Chadwick Boseman, Levi says, "What?
Oh, no.
Are you kidding me?" I mean, he was so upset. He's like, he died, and Alan and I both look at each other and look at him and say, "Where have you been?" Yes, he died, and had cancer, and we're going through it. We're like, "How do you not know this?" And he goes, "I haven't been on social media for 3 days. I don't know anything." And it was such a remarkable point in time, because I realized that he gets literally all of his information through his phone. He gets all of his information through Instagram or Twitter. And we are getting really primarily our news sources through the conventional way still. We're still listening to the Today Show or CNN and listening to NBC Nightly News or listening to podcasts. And that was just so generational. And I said, well, can't you start listening to the news? Is that too much pleasure for you that you're going to be up? Because he was so upset, and we had, of course, a few days to let that information sink in. I said, Levi, it's his death has been the most, I think, what was it, the most liked Twitter feed, in Twitter history, at the time with over 7 million views or shares. And I said, this has been literally, this news has been top of every news cycle and every social media feed. And he just had no idea. He had gone 3 days. It felt like he had gone 3 months without connecting to the world. So,
well, you say it's generational, but something similar happened to me. I, usually fall asleep with my phone next to me, and sometimes I check it at 1 a.m. And this was years ago, and you'll know the date of it when I tell you what happened. But I happened to put my phone away. I literally did not look at it until I walked into work and sat down. I turned on the computer, and then I look at my friend Nancy and I go, "Steve Jobs died?" And she's like, "Amanda, that happened 15 hours ago." Right? Not the same thing as 3 days ago.
Right.
But I was like, this is what happens when I don't have my phone next to me. Steve Jobs died. I felt like it was my fault because I didn't have my phone with me. I could have saved him. I couldn't have, obviously. But it's
you do kind of expect the world to stop if you're not paying attention, right?
Things are happening. But then I was like, why is it a big deal that I found out about it 15 hours later? Right? They started making fun of me that I was on such a news delay.
Right.
And I was like, it does not affect my day, right? This is not necessary. It's not like I didn't know who won the presidential election, right? That's something that you should be in touch with. That's, it's happening. The results are coming in or whatever. But speaking of which, we're trying to figure out what to do for the election night and if we should do a social distance get together with our friends. And they're worried that it's going to be depressing, right? and that maybe we should just go away instead.
So we're having the same talks because we have a tradition of mostly like all of my book club and our families of having an election night party every year at my friend Jill's house. And not to get political, but it hasn't been the best outcome the last time that we met. And so we're a little bit nervous. And there, look, it's always been, a great night of camaraderie and, just a way for us to also get our families together, and the kids are all into it, and it's very thematic. So this year we decided we are doing it at her house. We're going to social distance, ideally outside. I don't care if we have to wear parkas if it's cold. Not that it's going to be that cold in Chattanooga at the beginning of November. But I think there is something about, no matter what the outcome is of any election, of being together with like-minded people so that you can either celebrate or mourn the loss together as a community.
Freak out all over again, right?
Yeah.
I woke up the morning of the morning after, and
which it should ever be named.
And Aaron just goes, "Just don't cry in front of the children," right?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay."
I told you what happened to me, right? Same thing. Alan was not in town, and we had stayed up as late as possible, and then the boys eventually went to bed, and then woke up to me and said, "What happened?" And I just kind of shook my head because I really couldn't speak, and they were in a deep depression as well. So they left for school. Alan wasn't there. I had no other adult interaction until I had a meeting with this guy at this coffee shop. This feels so weird, like without masks. That's how far back this was, at a coffee shop. But we'd never met. We had been communicating via email and on the phone because he was working on a documentary, an educational documentary, and we were going to talk about it. And so I sat down, and we sat down with our coffee, and I said, "Good to see you. I'm so glad we could finally do this." He goes, "Me too." And he said, "How are you?" It was such a simple, innocuous question. And as soon as he said, "How are you?" I burst into tears.
Which is not you. You do not cry.
Which is
you don't cry in front
me.
of people.
And he just looked at me, and then he burst into tears. And
he did?
Yes,
Oh,
he's such an amazing, emotional guy. So the two of us, first meeting, we're both sitting there outside at this coffee shop crying.
Oh.
He held my hand. He's like, "It's going to be okay." I said, "Thank you. I know, but you're the first adult I've talked to in like 12 hours. And I got it out, and then we had a great conversation and moved forward and talked about all things hopeful and possible. But I will never forget it. Now, every time I see him since then, right, he is still doing wonderful things. And I thought, oh my gosh, like that, the fact that was our first interaction, and it only brought us closer. It didn't he didn't leave that meeting saying, and maybe he did, but going, "Holy cow, she is nuts." So.
What you are, but that's a whole different story.
Which I am, yeah. All right. In other news, so I'm not like Levi. I have been reading and looking at and following social media. And, every so often, what I love, there's a few things on social media that have kept me optimistic and also distracted from like the COVID, the pandemic, all of the things going on. One I wanted to say is my friend Mark Song, who has these two precious children, these two girls, and he just does literal random videos of them, like washing the car or doing something, and the baby especially is like this. I mean, you just want to eat her up. And so I just literally, I'm kind of stalking his page because every day or every 2 days he puts on these just wonderful videos without explanation, just like, eating ice cream or doing this, and I'm obsessed, right? I'm like, okay, if I get a little bit of song children in my life every day, I'm so happy. The other is when people post something that has nothing to do with anything, right? But just, they say, "This might bring a smile to your face." And I'm quick to click on those. So this happened this week, and I think this is something that has gone viral. And at first I thought it was a total joke, but it was an obituary. And I'm also obsessed with obituaries and the art of dying.
Oh,
right?
I think I've read this obituary.
Okay. It is a woman named Holly Blair. Did you read this?
She's
kind of a Wiccan,
witch?
A witch? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I read it out loud for those who haven't read it? Okay.
Please
so I will
do.
say I clicked on this, and even if it was fake, it would have brought me such joy. So it's a picture of a woman, very witch-like. It kind of looks like Mommy on Halloween. She's got dark hair. She's wearing all black. Mommy's more
London.
beautiful. Yeah, sorry, Mommy.
Mommy's got her Stacey London wig.
Yes.
That is attached to a witch hat.
Right.
But then her makeup looks fabulous.
Yes.
And well, as does Stacey London's. No offense, Stacey London. I'm just referencing like the gray stripe of hair, the strip of hair.
Well, this is the most fabulous obit, and it's not very long in case anybody's like, ugh, she's going to read this. Holly Blair. Holly Blair exploded into glitter and bats on August 17th, 2020. She is survived by 4 spoiled cats, 2 stinky dogs, 3 bad birds, a turtle, and an utterly useless frog named Fred, as well as 3 children and a husband of little to no importance. Her remains will be interred under a tree with the ridiculous multitude of animals she rescued, both wild and domestic. Her future plans include drinking beer with Terry Pratchett and flying across the moon on her broomstick on Halloween. She has also promised to communicate with us from the beyond via the Cockatiel psyche. I don't know.
I'm probably psychic. It's probably a cockatiel that's a psychic, I would assume.
But it just says via the Cockatiel psyche. Okay. We ask that everyone carve extra jack-o'-lanterns on Halloween this year in her honor. All hail the Wicked Witch of Juniper Road. So that just made me laugh because I was like, that is extraordinarily entertaining. It just says everything about this woman, if she really did exist. And then underneath it led you to a page about what chapel it would be in Idaho, Haley, Idaho, and that there is a memorial page at the chapel website. So, of course, I couldn't just go with click on this and read the obituary. I was like, I've got to see if this is, just a funny thing like The Onion put out or something. Oh, no. I go to this chapel website, and sure enough, there is her obituary, followed by, at the time, more than like 20 pages of messages to her, and I would say all of them were from people who don't know her, who just came across her obituary and decided that they are going to write. And one in particular was hysterical. Okay, you ready? Mm-hmm. I don't know. It just becomes from like the absurd to the insane. So this is from Linda Whitefeather, who posted this on the 31st. I did not personally know Holly in her human form, but upon seeing her obit posted by a Pastafarian on the Facebook page of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster in Australia, I knew that I knew her in spirit. Glitter on, Holly. May you sparkle in peace. Glitter on, Holly.
Glitter on. There actually is a clairvoyant cockatiel, by the way, named Kevin.
Oh, okay.
From Katara. I don't know where Katara is.
All right. Well, maybe she will be living on through this clairvoyant cockatiel. But it's kind of like how, yeah.
Yeah,
what? It's kind of like how?
I was like how we said that you can communicate with us if we pass on through the what's her name? Teresa from Long Island Medium.
Long Island Medium. She's going to be she's our version of the cockatiel. Yeah.
You're going to have to go to Kevin, the psychic cockatiel.
Right.
So,
but all this to say, since you are my social media manager in the event of my untimely or timely death, I feel like I'm going to save this for you as the bar set for fabulous, memorable obituaries. Okay. It doesn't have to be long. It also proves my point that longer is not better. Better is better, right? And so this was really 2 short paragraphs. And now people all over the world, I don't really care if people all over the world then comment on it, but it does say something. Everybody said the same thing, right? Like she was obviously a kind-hearted person. It said everything about her, right? She loved animals. She was free-spirited. She was unapologetic about who she was.
She had a good sense of humor. I bet she wrote it. So I think you're probably, if I had to write your obituary, you'd probably ask to have a pass through of it. I would be,
I'm going to need to see. I'm going to need to edit it.
You would edit it. And we have to like kind of rewind to I'm your social media manager when you pass on, because I asked you to be my social media manager and you were like, you like scoffed at that.
No, I feel like then we made it automatically reciprocal. I thought it's a good idea.
You were like, I have to like keep Facebook posting for you when you're gone, and I was like, yes. And you're like, no, we would just retire your Facebook page. And I was like, no, keep it going. Like go be creative with posts. And Herman Cain, his daughter's tweeting for him from the beyond. by the way.
So I don't want you to do that for me. Yes, let's be
Okay.
clear. When I say social media manager post-death, I do want you to close things down, right? To say thank you. I think it is eerie that people are posting on people's pages posthumously. I think that's strange. But you can do one final post, and that also includes obituary writing or editing, you know.
Yes.
Alan is also a fabulous writer. So I
Right.
think, you know, I don't want to discount like that he would also write a fabulous obituary.
One last promotion for Sis and Tell. We'll be like, listen to it from the beginning before Alison reaches her end. This is this is so sad.
Morbid. It's very morbid.
Yes, this is morbid. This is a morbid conversation. I'm sorry. I know I told you at the very beginning of the podcast before we even started recording that your shirt looked like you're wearing scrubs, and I just can't stop thinking that you look like a doctor. And those scrubs, it's the color, it's the neckline, except for the sleeves. I'm really stuck on this, that you look like, I know now you're giving me this look, but look, I can make fun of myself. I look like,
Okay, you look like Flashdance or something.
Yeah,
What are you wearing?
Yeah, I look like Flashdance. That's what I was going to say. I look like Flashdance.
And speaking of Flashdance, and back to television, so I'm wrapping up 2 in 1. So the only television I think we acknowledged watching was the news, but that's not true. So lately, Alan and I have also, like, you know, as we're trying to surf through the 400 channels on TV, and admittedly, there is nothing to watch. It is. I mean, people say it, but it's so true. But we've been landing on old shows. So twice we've attempted to watch because we sort of fall asleep, but Back to the Future came on in the past 2 weeks. That is still one of the best movies of all time. You saw Back to the Future, I'm sure.
Of course,
Okay.
and 2 and 3 and 4.
Yes, well, they kind of lose me in the sequels, but
Was
Back
there
to
a
the
fourth?
Future one.
Did I just make that up?
There might
Was
have
there
been
a fourth? I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
We just kept going.
and as you know, I got to interview Crispin Glover, who plays McFly, and
Yeah,
I
that
interviewed
guy.
him for my PBS show, and he is
Interesting.
a very, very, as I say, an endearingly quirky gentleman. That's putting it mildly. He is very eccentric, and I mean intentionally so. But he's, you know, anyway. So
Was he conversational, like, or was he awkward? Did you have to like draw information out of him?
no, he was very very talkative and you know, very open and very personable, but in a really odd sort of way. Like, he was, at the time, this was years ago, but he was working on these really unusual films that were sort of pornographic in nature and also used people with disabilities or challenges. And
Yeah.
so there was like this weird mixture, and he wanted us to show it on our show, and PBS has very strict restrictions, as you can imagine. So we could show literally, I think out of the 2-hour film, there was like 18 seconds that we were like able to show, which was fine. That appeased him. But
Wait,
he also,
you should wait. Let's rewind. You showed 18 seconds of a porno on PBS.
I'm just saying, there was so much, it wasn't a porno, but there was so much inappropriate
It was sexual
material,
in nature.
right? Some of it
Okay.
was, right, that we were only, and maybe not, it's unfair to say porno, but it was enough explicit material that wasn't appropriate for us to show that we were able to carve out like 8 seconds, 18 seconds, something like that. I loved him though. I mean, he is, look, I'm weird, so I can't say he's weird, but he is an odd bird, but he owns it, and he is passionate about his craft, and he isn't into Hollywood movies, right? He's been on these. He was on Hot Tub Time Machine. He was, of course, in Back to the Future.
I loved
He was
Hot Tub
not
Time
in Back to the
Machine.
Future 2. I think we've discussed this.
Yeah,
He was the
that's
first
so
one
funny.
to sue for using his image.
Did he play Marty McFly in Hot Tub Time Machine? How did he end up on 2 movies about time machines?
Isn't
That's
that funny?
kind of
No, he was the butler, or the bellman. He was the bellman at the hotel who lost
Okay.
his arm in the
Yes.
elevator. Yeah.
okay. I remember.
Yeah. And again, a kind of endearingly quirky guy. So he has a typecast for sure. But anyway, Back to the Future. Your Flashdance shirt reminded me of this. Karate Kid has come on, the original, not the remake.
Right.
Which led me to finding, which who knew, that there is a Netflix series called Cobra Kai. Have you heard
Yes.
of this?
I auditioned for that, and I have a friend in the stand-up community who is a series regular.
Wait,
They shoot that.
Back up. You
Yeah.
auditioned for Cobra Kai?
Yeah, I really messed up because I didn't even, I didn't know. It was such an amazing role that I got an opportunity to audition for, and I was sharing a scene with Ralph Macchio.
What?
Yeah,
Did I know this and forgot it?
This was like 2 years ago when I first started auditioning, and the role was I auditioned to be like the teacher, this like quirky teacher at the school whose older sister was in school with Ralph Macchio's character and like knew him, right?
Yeah.
So, and I was like the baby sister, so I always like knew about him. And it was such a good role, but I like messed it up.
Why?
Because I should have gotten an acting coach to help me with it, and I didn't, right? And I should have gone and recorded my audition with a professional because that's when I first started doing self-taped auditions.
Right.
So I didn't know all the nuances of it, what I could and couldn't do, how far I could push the character, how big I could make her, what they were looking for, And I mean, honestly, if I would have gotten that role, it probably would have been too overwhelming, too much for me to, it would have been a big role for me, and I would have had to fake it until I made it.
Are they shooting it in Atlanta? Is that why?
Yeah, they shoot it in Atlanta.
That's crazy.
It was originally on YouTube, the Red Channel, and Netflix picked it up. Everyone's talking about it now.
Well, I just stumbled upon it by chance because I'm like,
Yeah.
Cobra Kai. And then I'm
Did you
thinking,
watch it?
Well, I haven't yet. I watched the trailer just because I was very curious of what the premise was. And also, I had wrongly assumed that it would be like two characters playing their two characters, but like the older versions, they didn't have to use the real characters.
No,
No,
like 30 years later.
It really is them. It really is
Yeah.
Johnny, the guy who played Johnny, and it really is Ralph Macchio playing, this older version of themselves. And as you can imagine, it's back to the renewed rivalry within there.
I like that so much better than like a spinoff, right? Or not even a spinoff. It is a spinoff, but then like a remake. It's not really a remake. It's a continuation in different format of the original premise, right? It's the same characters. They're older. I love that sort of thing. And did we talk about how they are doing a version of that with it's not really a version of that, but they are doing another Wonder Years, but it's set in the same era, but located in Montgomery, Alabama, and following a Black family.
Wow. And
that I just hope that we can get back to full production as soon as possible because I cannot wait to watch that. And it would be amazing if they shoot it in Atlanta. Look, they can shoot anywhere, but Atlanta's been getting so many productions and it's so close to, I imagine they would do a lot of stuff, some stuff in Montgomery just to pick up some, be really authentic, but it makes the most sense for them to shoot it in Atlanta to have access to just people with Southern accents. I don't know. Right. There's nothing worse than
the fake Southern accent.
Yes, yeah. The fake Southern accents are awful. Oh my God.
Well, also to have access to the Tyler Perry Studios, who is blowing up the Hollywood paradigm, right?
Yes.
He is really Canada was the first jab at Hollywood, right? Like, come to Canada, you can shoot here, it'll be much cheaper and easier access. And now Tyler Perry basically said the same thing, right? Like, why are you going to Hollywood? Atlanta's got decent weather, we've got amazing talent, we've got beautiful scenery, and I'm just going to build a state-of-the-art facility and I'm going to show you all up. And it's amazing.
I think he has a fake White House there. He's so brilliant.
Can it please be the real one? Can we convince them just to turn it into the real one?
Fake. Obviously it's fake, but he built standard sets that will never be broken down that are used repeatedly in movies. He also has a show called The Oval, which is about the Oval Office. I'm assuming that's what it's about.
Or maybe just a shape who felt out of place.
Right.
I don't know.
Or it's like a spinoff of Sesame Street, but in the South, right? And they're like, we just talk about shapes. Shape of the day. Anyways, but he's got I think he's got an airplane also in there, all these things.
It's huge. It is, as you know, we got to see it firsthand, which was,
back when we were on Steve Harvey, which seems like a really long time ago, but wasn't that January?
Oh my gosh. Was it this year? Was it in 2020?
I think we were on Steve Harvey in 2020.
This year it is.
I can't.
We've got to get rid of it. We got to just move on.
I keep saying, is it Is it 1987? Like, I don't know what year it is.
Right. Is it September? Is it March? I don't know. Is it Monday? Is it Saturday? It's all blended together.
I feel trapped and I just want to go home. Do you feel that way? That's how I feel.
I feel trapped in my home. So yes, very similar.
No, I feel like I keep on making references to the show Sliders, the Jerry O'Connell show from like the 90s. And he slides into different dimensions that are just like his, but slightly off, except we all slid into this other dimension. And I'm like, could we at least had dinosaurs or something cool pop up? Like, I would have taken Jurassic World and whatever's going on. I wouldn't be surprised if a dinosaur does show up, but it's not. Anyway, whether you're listening to us in your car or stuck in your home or going on a walk, we appreciate you listening in. Thank you for being a listener and a fan, and get other people to follow us. Share Sis and Tell with your friends. Alison, did you love that alliteration?
I did. As always, this has been Amanda and Alison with a whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing. We hope you all glitter on, and may you sparkle in peace. We'll catch you next time.